Imagine driving a car unlike any other, quiet, swift, and unlike anything else on the road, only to be told years later that you must give it back. No option to buy, no chance to keep what had become more than just a vehicle. This was the reality for many drivers of General Motors' EV1, an electric car that arrived in the mid-1990s as a glimpse of what the future might hold. The EV1 wasn't sold outright. It was leased, a program limited to select markets, and a small number of drivers who quickly grew attached to its smooth ride, futuristic design, and electric powertrain. But then, unexpectedly, General Motors announced the end of the program. Lessees were required to return their cars, sparking confusion, disappointment, and questions that still linger today. Why would a major automaker reclaim a car that represented cutting-edge technology and inspired a devoted following? This moment, the return of the EV1, became a defining chapter in the story of electric vehicles, stirring debate and speculation. To understand the full picture, we need to trace the EV1's origins, starting with the visionary concept that first sparked GM's electric ambitions. For many, the recall of the EV1 was more than a corporate decision. It was a deeply personal loss. The suddenness of the announcement left drivers searching for answers amid a swirl of uncertainty and speculation. To understand why this happened, we need to go back to where it all began, starting with the visionary concept that ignited the EV1 program. Before the EV1 ever appeared on California roads, General Motors unveiled a striking vision of the future, the GM Impact. Debuting at the 1990 Los Angeles Auto Show, this sleek electric concept car captured attention with its smooth aerodynamic form and promise of a new kind of driving experience. Far from a hastily converted prototype, the Impact was a carefully engineered demonstration of what an electric vehicle could be when designed from the ground up. Its roots, however, extended deeper into GM's own history. The Impact drew directly on lessons learned from the Sun Racer, a solar-powered experimental vehicle developed by GM in the late 1980s. That project had pushed boundaries in lightweight materials, aerodynamics, and energy-efficient design, all of which informed the Impact's creation. This continuity of innovation within GM revealed a genuine commitment to exploring electric propulsion, even if the road ahead was uncertain. At the same time, the broader context for the Impact's development was shaped by regulatory pressures, particularly in California. The state's zero-emission vehicle policies aim to reduce air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions by encouraging automakers to produce cleaner cars. While these regulations played a significant role in motivating companies like GM to invest in electric technology, they were only part of a more complex picture. The Impact, and later the EV1, were also responses to evolving market demands, technological possibilities, and GM's own strategic decisions. It's important to recognize that regulation was not the sole driver, nor was it the only factor behind the eventual cancellation of the program. What set the Impact apart was its status as a purpose-built electric vehicle, not just an electric conversion of an existing gasoline model. This distinction mattered. By designing the car around the unique requirements of electric propulsion, such as battery placement, weight distribution, and aerodynamics, GM aimed to maximize efficiency and performance. The Impact's teardrop shape, lightweight construction, and innovative features like regenerative braking hinted at the future direction of electric cars. Yet, turning this concept into a practical, drivable vehicle presented real engineering challenges that had rarely been tackled before. This combination of technological ambition and regulatory influence laid the groundwork for the EV1 program. The Impact was more than a showpiece. It was a tangible step toward reimagining what a car could be in a world beginning to reckon with environmental concerns and energy constraints. However, the journey from concept to reality would require overcoming hurdles in battery technology, manufacturing, and consumer acceptance, challenges that defined the EV1's story in the years to come. For many observers at the time, the Impact's unveiling signaled a rare convergence of technological optimism and environmental urgency. The car's debut generated curiosity not only among engineers and policymakers, but also among drivers who wondered whether electric vehicles could truly fit into everyday life. This sense of anticipation underscored just how experimental and uncertain the path forward remained. but turning a concept into a drivable, purpose-built electric car posed engineering challenges that few had tackled before. Unlike many electric vehicles of its era, the GM EV1 was not simply a retrofit or conversion of an existing gasoline-powered car. Instead, it was engineered from the ground up as a dedicated electric vehicle, thoughtfully designed to maximize efficiency and performance within the technological limits of the 1990s. This approach meant rethinking everything from the chassis to the body shape, with a clear focus on reducing energy consumption and extending driving range. At the heart of the EV1's design was an aluminum space frame structure, a lightweight yet rigid framework that provided the necessary strength while keeping the car's overall mass low. This was crucial because every pound saved translated directly into improved battery efficiency and driving distance. Complementing this was the lightweight exterior, constructed with materials chosen to minimize weight without sacrificing durability or safety. Visually, the EV1 stood apart from typical cars on the road. Its aerodynamic, teardrop-shaped profile was no accident. Engineers carefully sculpted the body to reduce air resistance, an important factor for any vehicle, but especially vital for an electric car with limited energy storage. The narrow rear track and partially covered rear wheels further contributed to lowering drag, helping the EV1 slice through the air with less effort. These design choices were deliberate, aimed at stretching every available watt-hour from its batteries. This wasn't a trial-and-error experiment, but a concentrated application of engineering principles tailored specifically for electric propulsion. The EV1 integrated technologies that were advanced for its time, including electronic controls and a heat pump climate system designed to reduce power consumption. The car's drive-by-wire features also demonstrated how GM was exploring new ways to manage vehicle functions electronically, a forward-looking approach in the mid-1990s. Production of the EV1 took place at a specialized facility in Lansing, Michigan, where roughly 1,000 units were built. This limited production underscored the program's experimental and niche nature. The EV1 was intended for lease only, available primarily in select markets such as California and Arizona, reflecting both regulatory influences and market realities. By focusing on a purpose-built electric platform, GM created a vehicle that stood apart from conversions or adaptations common in earlier electric cars. The EV1's engineering reflected both the promise and the constraints of its time, offering a glimpse into what electric vehicles could achieve when designed without the compromises imposed by traditional gasoline car platforms. Yet the EV1's story is also shaped by the context of its era. In the 1990s, battery technology, charging infrastructure, and public understanding of electric vehicles were all in their infancy. GM's decision to pursue a purpose-built electric car reflected both optimism and caution, as engineers navigated uncharted territory. The result was a vehicle that balanced innovation with the realities of cost, serviceability, and the limited scale possible at the time. This purposeful engineering enabled a driving experience unlike any other electric car of the 1990s. Behind the EV1's sleek, teardrop-shaped exterior was a suite of technologies that few electric vehicles had yet mastered in the mid-1990s. General Motors designed the EV1 from the ground up as a purpose-built electric car, incorporating features that aimed to maximize efficiency and redefine what an electric vehicle could deliver in everyday driving. One of the standout innovations was regenerative braking, a system that captured energy normally lost during deceleration and fed it back into the battery. This technology not only extended driving range, but also gave the EV1 a distinctive feel when slowing down, blending performance with energy conservation. Complementing this were low rolling resistance tires, specially developed to reduce friction and further improve efficiency without compromising handling or safety. The EV1 also showcased advanced electronic controls uncommon in production vehicles of the era. Its drive-by-wire system replaced traditional mechanical linkages with electronic signals, allowing for smoother throttle response and precise power management. Inside, climate control was managed by a heat pump system rather than a conventional electric heater, an energy-saving choice that helped preserve battery life during heating and cooling. While these systems were impressive, The heart of the EV1's performance depended heavily on its evolving battery technology. The first-generation EV1s used lead-acid batteries, a technology familiar but limited by weight and energy density. Later models featured improved lead-acid packs and eventually introduced nickel-metal hydride batteries, which offered higher energy storage, better durability, and longer driving range. However, the actual range varied widely depending on numerous factors, including battery type, ambient temperature, driving habits, and terrain. Unlike today's electric vehicles, the EV1's range could not be summarized by a single figure. Instead, it required understanding the complex interaction of these variables. Driving the EV1 was a unique experience. Its electric motor provided smooth, quiet acceleration, free from the vibrations and noise associated with internal combustion engines. The aerodynamic body and lightweight aluminum space frame contributed to nimble handling and a feeling of futuristic refinement. Yet, lessees' experiences were not uniform. Some praised the car's responsive performance and efficiency, while others found the limited range and charging infrastructure challenging. The EV1's distinct character attracted a small but passionate group of drivers who appreciated its blend of advanced engineering and environmental promise. For many who participated in the EV1 program, the car represented more than just a new way to drive. It was a glimpse into a possible future shaped by innovation and environmental awareness. The limited leasing arrangement meant that every driver became part of a closely watched experiment, providing feedback that informed both technical adjustments and broader discussions about electric mobility. While the EV1's capabilities were shaped by the realities of 1990s technology, its presence on public roads challenged assumptions about what electric vehicles could achieve, sparking curiosity and debate among enthusiasts, skeptics, and industry observers alike. These innovations attracted a small but passionate group of drivers, eager to embrace the future of transportation. Though available only to a select group, the EV1 quickly became a symbol of innovation and hope for a cleaner future in transportation. General Motors chose a leasing-only model for the EV1, a decision that set it apart from conventional car sales. These electric vehicles were never sold outright to the general public. Instead, they were offered primarily through leases in carefully chosen markets, mainly California and Arizona. This approach reflected both the experimental nature of the program and the logistical challenges of producing and supporting a new kind of vehicle. Lease terms, pricing, and available subsidies evolved over time, influenced by changing regulations, technology improvements, and market conditions. Because of this, there was no single universal lease payment that applied to all customers. Instead, factors like location, timing, and individual agreements shaped each lessee's experience. The EV1 attracted a small but passionate community of drivers who appreciated its quiet operation, smooth acceleration, and distinctive aerodynamic design. For many, the car represented more than just transportation. It was a glimpse into a possible future where efficiency and environmental concern could coexist with performance and style. Yet not every lessee shared the same enthusiasm or experience. Some found the limited range, charging infrastructure, or maintenance needs challenging, while others embraced the novelty and technical sophistication. The EV1's sleek teardrop shape and covered rear wheels made it instantly recognizable, reinforcing its status as a unique vehicle on American roads. The mid-1990s American Southwest, with its sunny climate and progressive environmental policies, provided a fitting backdrop for the program. California's zero-emission vehicle mandates were a significant factor encouraging GM to develop and lease the EV1 there, while Arizona's favorable weather made electric driving more practical. Still, the program's exclusivity and the limited number of vehicles produced, around 1,000, added to the EV1's mystique. Its rarity created strong emotional bonds among lessees, who often formed tight-knit communities, sharing tips, experiences, and a sense of pride in driving something truly different. Despite the enthusiasm and the technological advances demonstrated by the EV1, the leasing model and restricted availability underscored the program's experimental status. It was a carefully controlled effort, not a mass-market launch. This exclusivity, while building a devoted following, also limited the car's broader impact and commercial success. For those fortunate enough to participate, the EV1 program offered a rare opportunity to experience cutting-edge electric technology firsthand at a time when such vehicles were virtually absent from American roads. The sense of being part of a pioneering experiment was heightened by the car's limited presence and the close relationship many lessees developed with GM representatives and service teams. This direct connection fostered a sense of collaboration and shared purpose, as drivers provided feedback that sometimes informed ongoing technical adjustments. Still, the program's boundaries remained clear, with access tightly managed and ownership never an option. Yet, behind the enthusiasm lay practical realities that challenged the program's long-term viability. Beneath the sleek design and quiet promise of the EV1 lay a series of technological and economic challenges that ultimately shaped its fate. At the heart of the matter was battery technology. The first-generation EV1 used lead-acid batteries, a mature but heavy and energy-limited technology. Later, GM introduced improved lead-acid and nickel-metal hydride batteries, which extended driving range and performance. Yet, even with advancements, the range varied widely depending on temperature, driving style, and testing methods. Unlike today's lithium-ion batteries, these 1990s batteries could not consistently deliver the distances many drivers expected, especially in real-world conditions. This variability wasn't a flaw in design, but a reflection of the era's technological limits. Production costs also weighed heavily on the program. The EV1 was not a converted gasoline car, but a purpose-built electric vehicle, constructed with an aluminum space frame and lightweight materials to maximize efficiency. However, this specialized manufacturing process took place in a dedicated facility in Lansing, Michigan, producing roughly 1,000 units. Such low volume meant that economies of scale were limited, pushing the cost per vehicle far above conventional cars. These expenses translated into high leasing rates, which, combined with limited subsidies and evolving program terms, made the EV1 an expensive proposition for both GM and its customers. Supporting the EV1 presented its own hurdles. The car's advanced drive-by-wire controls, regenerative braking, and heat pump climate system were innovative but required specialized service knowledge. Dealerships were not widely equipped or trained to maintain these electric vehicles, creating logistical challenges. This limited service network added complexity and cost, constraining broader adoption. Charging infrastructure in the mid-1990s was sparse, especially compared to today's standards. Public and home charging options were limited primarily to California and Arizona, the two main markets where the EV1 was available. Without a robust network, drivers faced range anxiety and logistical planning that gasoline car owners did not. This lack of infrastructure was both a cause and effect of the EV1's limited market presence. Speaking of market size, the audience for electric vehicles was small and specialized. Even in states with zero-emission vehicle mandates, the EV1 appealed mainly to early adopters and environmentally motivated drivers. The broader car-buying public remained cautious about electric vehicles, hindered by concerns over range, cost, and unfamiliar technology. GM's decision to lease rather than sell the EV1 reflected this cautious approach, as the company sought to control the car's use and gather data while limiting financial exposure. These technical, economic, and market realities did not exist in isolation. They interacted with shifting regulatory landscapes and GM's broader corporate strategies. The EV1 program was ambitious, but faced a complex environment where innovation collided with practical limitations. Understanding these intertwined factors is essential to grasp why the EV1 program unfolded as it did, and why its legacy remains both inspiring and complicated. These challenges unfolded alongside shifting regulations and corporate strategies that would soon reshape the program's future. As the 1990s progressed, the regulatory landscape that had initially encouraged the development of the EV1 began to shift in ways that complicated its future. California's zero-emission vehicle mandates, which played a significant role in pushing automakers toward electric technology, started to evolve. Adjustments in enforcement and the introduction of compliance alternatives created a less pressing imperative for General Motors to continue investing in the EV1 program. Meanwhile, the broader market realities and technological challenges persisted. Battery limitations, high production costs, and the need for specialized service infrastructure made the EV1 a difficult proposition for GM to sustain at scale. The company faced a complex decision, balancing regulatory requirements against the economic realities of producing and supporting a niche electric vehicle. Importantly, this decision was not driven by a single cause or a covert agenda. Rather, it reflected a multifaceted assessment of the program's viability amid changing policies and market conditions. GM's official explanations cited these practical considerations: technological constraints, limited demand, and shifting regulations as key factors influencing the cancellation. This perspective aligns with external analyses that emphasize the interplay of evolving rules and business strategy, rather than attributing the program's end solely to external pressures or conspiratorial forces. The choice to conclude the EV1 leases and retrieve the vehicles was a direct consequence of the company's ownership of the cars and the terms of the leasing agreements. While some lessees and electric vehicle advocates expressed strong disappointment and publicly objected to the recall, GM maintained that the program had reached its practical limits. The company's decision was further shaped by the recognition that continuing the EV1 program required ongoing investment in a market that remained small and uncertain. In this light, the cancellation emerges as a pragmatic, if controversial, business judgment rather than a straightforward rejection of electric mobility. Yet the emotional response from drivers and supporters underscored the EV1's unique place in automotive history. It was more than just a car. It was a symbol of innovation and hope for a cleaner future. The withdrawal of the EV1 sparked debates that would echo for decades, fueling discussions about the role of regulation, corporate responsibility, and the challenges of pioneering new technology. These debates persist, often reflecting broader questions about how society balances innovation, economics, and environmental goals. For many involved, the end of the EV1 program represented not just the closure of a technical experiment, but the loss of a vision that had briefly seemed within reach. The program's conclusion highlighted the tension between bold innovation and the realities of commercial viability in a rapidly changing regulatory environment. As the last leases expired, the sense of unfinished business lingered, leaving both supporters and critics to reflect on what the EV1 had achieved and what might have been possible under different circumstances. With the program's end came a difficult and emotional process: the recovery of leased EV1s from their drivers. For many drivers, the end came not just with cancellation, but with the wrenching loss of their cherished EV1s. After General Motors announced the program's termination, the company began the process of reclaiming the leased vehicles. Since the EV1s had always been leased, not sold, GM retained ownership and required their return. This recovery unfolded in select markets, primarily California and Arizona, where the cars had been initially introduced. The reaction from lessees and electric vehicle advocates was intense and emotional. Many drivers had formed deep attachments to their EV1s, valuing their quiet performance, aerodynamic design, and the promise of an alternative automotive future. Public protests and vocal objections emerged, reflecting disappointment and frustration at losing access to vehicles that, for some, represented more than just transportation. They symbolized hope for cleaner technology. However, the retrieval process was methodical and largely uneventful. GM systematically collected the cars, citing practical reasons such as the high costs of battery replacement, limited market demand, and the need to maintain control over the technology. Once recovered, most EV1s were dismantled and crushed, a fact that fueled controversy and speculation. Yet, it's important to clarify that not every EV1 met this fate. A limited number were donated to museums, universities, and technical institutions, often disabled or restricted from road use, preserving important examples of this pioneering electric vehicle. Contrary to some claims, General Motors did not secretly erase every record or destroy every trace of the EV1 program. Documentation, technical data, and several vehicles have survived, allowing historians and enthusiasts to study and appreciate the EV1's place in automotive history. The destruction of many EV1s was driven by a combination of practical and legal factors, including liability concerns and the proprietary nature of the technology. While the car's disappearance from roads was a loss to its passionate community, the story of the EV1 did not end with its physical removal. Over time, the vehicle became a symbol in broader debates about electric transportation, industry resistance, and environmental progress. Yet, a balanced view recognizes that the program's end and vehicle recovery resulted from complex technical, economic, and regulatory challenges, not simply from a single cause or conspiracy. Today, the surviving EV1s stand as rare and valuable artifacts, reminders of a bold experiment in electric mobility. These cars offer insights into 1990s technology and the early efforts to rethink automotive design for a cleaner future. For those who witnessed the EV1's removal, the episode highlighted the tension between technological ambition and the realities of commercial viability in the 1990s. The program's conclusion underscored how experimental vehicles, even when beloved by a dedicated few, could be subject to shifting priorities and unresolved questions about infrastructure, support, and long-term sustainability. The EV1's fate became a touchstone for ongoing conversations about innovation and loss. While controversy swirled, the EV1's story continued to evolve in public memory and technical restoration efforts. The story of the EV1 has often been told with certainty, but the truth is more complex than many narratives suggest. Over the years, a variety of conspiracy theories have emerged, claiming that powerful oil companies, patent suppression, or deliberate sabotage by established industry players were solely responsible for the EV1's abrupt cancellation and disappearance. While these narratives have captured public imagination, a careful look at the documented evidence reveals a more nuanced reality. Reliable sources point to a combination of factors: the technological limitations of 1990s battery technology, high production and maintenance costs, a limited market for electric vehicles at the time, shifting regulatory landscapes, and General Motors' own strategic business decisions. These elements together shaped the program's fate, rather than a single conspiratorial cause. It's important to recognize the genuine challenges faced by electric vehicles during that era, challenges that often go unappreciated when viewed through the lens of today's advanced lithium-ion battery technology and widespread EV infrastructure. The EV1 was pioneering in many ways, but also a product of its time, constrained by the realities of materials, economics, and consumer acceptance. Acknowledging this complexity does not diminish the passion of the EV1's supporters or the significance of the program. Instead, it provides a clearer understanding of why General Motors ultimately ended the leasing program and reclaimed the vehicles. This measured perspective also helps separate documented history from advocacy-driven interpretations and speculative claims. In this context, the story of the EV1 has taken a hopeful turn with the 2026 restoration of one surviving EV1, identified as VIN 212. Supported by General Motors, this project marks a significant moment in how the EV1 is remembered and valued. Far from erasing the past, the restoration honors the car's innovative spirit and offers a tangible link to a chapter of automotive history that once seemed lost. It demonstrates a shift in attitude, reflecting broader changes in how electric vehicles are perceived and the growing appreciation for the EV1's role in shaping future developments. This restoration serves as an epilogue that neither rewrites history nor glosses over the program's challenges, but instead enriches the narrative by preserving an authentic piece of automotive heritage. As the EV1 story continues to unfold, it invites us to reconsider its place in the history of innovation and the lessons it holds for the future. For many who followed the EV1's journey, the restoration of VIN 212 is more than a technical achievement. It is a reminder of how perspectives on innovation can evolve over time. The project has sparked renewed interest in the original program, encouraging a closer look at the decisions, hopes, and limitations that define the EV1 era. By preserving a surviving example, historians and enthusiasts gain a rare opportunity to study the car's engineering firsthand, deepening our understanding of both its promise and its constraints. In this way, the EV1's legacy continues to provoke thoughtful discussion. This evolving legacy invites us to reconsider the EV1's place in automotive history and its lessons for the future. Though the EV1's journey ended decades ago, its impact continues to resonate in today's electric vehicle landscape. As one of the first purpose-built electric cars from a major automaker, the EV1 was more than just a limited lease program. It was a bold experiment in pushing automotive technology toward a cleaner future. Its aerodynamic design, aluminum space frame, and innovations like regenerative braking and heat pump climate control set new standards that influenced later electric vehicles. Yet the story of the EV1 is not simple. Its cancellation was shaped by a mix of practical challenges: battery limitations, high costs, service hurdles, and shifting regulatory and corporate priorities. While some see the program's end as a deliberate suppression, the documented history reveals a more complex picture, where technological and market realities played a significant role. The passionate community of EV1 drivers and advocates helped keep its memory alive, turning the car into a symbol of both what electric vehicles could be and the obstacles they faced in the 1990s. Today, the EV1's legacy is reflected in ongoing advancements and growing acceptance of electric transportation. It serves as a reminder of the risks and rewards involved when innovation meets established industries and regulations. As we look forward, the EV1 invites us to consider: was it a casualty of its time, a victim of circumstance, or a necessary step on the road to the electric future we are still building? Share your thoughts below, and if you'd like to explore more automotive history, please subscribe for future episodes. Conclude the documentary about GM EV1, the electric car they took back naturally, and invite viewers to comment and subscribe.